Demonstrations continue after a leaked draft opinion from the Supreme Court revealed justices plan to strike down Roe v. Wade. In court documents obtained by Politico, Justice Samuel Alito wrote, "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives." If that rings true, restrictive abortion laws will be enacted in nearly half the country. Joining me now to discuss this is conservative podcaster Eleanor Krasne and liberal radio host Rashad Richey. Hey, it's rare to have a draft of an opinion leaked, although the initial Roe v. Wade decision in 1973 was also leaked, but only after it was final. So, Ellie, I'll start with you. What's your initial reaction to the leak, and do you see this as being a future issue for the High Court?
Absolutely. So my initial reaction is that it is highly unprofessional. I don't know how we can trust any practicing attorney, let alone a clerk on the Supreme Court or possibly a clerk on the Supreme Court, to leak confidential information. Respecting your employer's confidentiality is a primary component of any employment. I think secondarily to that, this leak wasn't just a breach of confidentiality, but it seems to me like there is a strong chance this was a calculated attempt to undermine the American people's trust in the Supreme Court. The last thing I'll say about it is true that in the past, some opinions were leaked, but I do believe this is the first time a complete draft memo was leaked. So it is a little bit different in that regard.
Absolutely. Rashad, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I love the leak. Yeah. The reason why it was leaked is likely because somebody wanted Congress to act before this actually became common law through the United States Supreme Court. I have no problem with that whatsoever. To debate the leak is to debate tone over substance. The substance of what this does is much more significant to the rule of law and to rights in the United States of America than the fact that somebody got the information before it was supposed to be official. So I have no problem with the leak. I work in media. We work with leaks all day long.
So if the SCOTUS makes this official in the next few months, the power is going to go back to the states. So what do you think a post-Roe America looks like? This question is for you, Rashad.
Let's analyze the historical context of this. You literally have individuals who are saying, we believe that the government should be this intrusive to a woman. However, that same group, they say, well, requiring a mask, well, that's too much government intrusion. No. That's a violation of my constitutional right. But they literally want the government to be in the uterus of a woman. And there is no such common law nor federal law that regulates a man's body in the way that our laws have regulated a woman's body. And the first dynamic of this entire argument is nature. Biology and nature gave the woman the authority of choice. Men do not get pregnant, only women do. But this is what it's going to look like as far as to carry out. Alabama, 2019, month of May, passed a law that said if a woman is raped and she seeks to get an abortion, she will go to jail for 15 to 25 years. The doctor who performs the abortion will go to jail for up to 99 years, and the rapist in Alabama will only get 5 years. That was actually a law passed by the legislature, signed into law by the governor, and then eventually overturned by the court. This court decision by the United States Supreme Court allows for Alabama to recreate that law again.
Ellie, obviously you differ with Rashad on this point, so go ahead.
Sure. I will share something we agree on. There is such thing as a biological woman, and only women can get pregnant. So it's great when a conservative and a liberal can agree. But going back to the topic at hand, absolutely, if this ruling comes out the way we saw in the leaked draft, then it would give abortion legislation back to the states. If that is what happens, then I do support the law and the right of people who are residents of states like Texas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, to vote in such a way that reflects their cultural and moral values. I do want to touch on a really relevant point that Rashad raised about the masking guidance from the CDC. As I understand it, the reason that was struck down is it was considered to be overreach. So I do think it is relevant that we talk about bodily integrity, individual rights, privacy, the rights of the individual to decide what they can do or do not do with their body. But I do think that these topics are a little bit different.
All right, Ellie.
Yeah.
So, Rashad, you wanted to counter that? Or
Yeah, I definitely want to respond to that. This is a fundamental issue with how we interpret laws and how we interpret the Constitution. Literally, the same elements of privacy and governmental overreach that was used to say, hey, requiring a mask for everybody, that may be a little too excessive. That's too much. But requiring that a woman has to now seek permission from the government in order to do something with her body, that's another dynamic. But this all comes from the expression of faith and religion, the very things that the framers of the Constitution were running away from. This is now a de facto religious state when we start talking about allowing the policy of Christianity. And I'm a Christian man myself. I simply do not want a theocratic government. That's not what I want. But we would never say, let's legislate to make lying illegal. That's in the Bible, thou shalt not lie. Let's legislate to make fornication illegal. That's in the Bible, thou shalt not commit fornication. We never take it to the next linear step. And here's the other thing I pose to my dear debater here. If life begins at conception, will now men be mandated to pay child support at conception? I think that's a good idea. If life begins at conception, we need to mandate insurance companies to start insuring fetuses. If life begins at conception, the American government must immediately stop deporting pregnant, undocumented women, because now that's an American citizen inside of the womb.
So, Ellie, I will allow for more time for you to address this here, but I'll also ask you this question. What does this leak and ultimately the decision mean for the midterm elections?
Absolutely. So I want to continue this conversation with Rashad, but I'd like to pivot a little bit and talk about midterms. So unfortunately, the Biden presidency has been little short of a disaster. We've had Ukraine, Afghanistan, inflation, very high gas prices, increasing prices at the grocery store, and an ongoing crisis at the border that he has failed to get under control. Long story short, there's a great opportunity here for Republicans to take back the House and start enacting policies that make this country better for all Americans and arguably the world a little bit safer. That said, whether Republicans like it or not, the country is very divided on abortion. About 50% of Americans disagree with the other 50%. So Republicans have to be very careful leading up to midterms to not overreach on life issues and social wedge issues. They need to get back to basics, and they need to focus on small government, lower taxes, school choice, and enacting policies that, again, make America better for all families, most especially children.
Rashad, this seems like this set the Democrats up for a good way to campaign going into the midterms. So what are your take on this?
Yeah, Democrats will blow it. You're right. This is an alley-oop. This is an easy win. Their messaging has been all over the place. It's been horrible. The progressives have done a much better job messaging around these dynamics, but Democrats, corporate Democrats, try to silence the more activist, progressive wing of their own party. Republicans, they didn't really make that mistake. They allowed their activist class to start creating a lot of the conversation and narrative while they continue to do the work. The problem is, Republicans will not understand how to properly message this. And I think they're going to end up destroying their message to some degree, but it will be interesting to see how this unfolds. The last poll I saw, 61% of Americans agree that a woman's right to choose in these cases should be absolute. And so they're going against the grain of the majority of Americans, obviously, even more so as it relates to women. Roughly 78% of women believe women have the right to choose in these matters. So it will be interesting. Both have fumbled as it relates to messaging, but Republicans have simply messaged a little better than Democrats routinely. Democrats need to get it together.
Rashad Richey and Eleanor Krasne, thank you so much for your time. Let's do this again soon.
Thank you.